Alright, let's watch Fnatic EDG. Because this game was really winnable for Fnatic, even though they... I'm just going to skip past the early game because everyone knows what happened in the early game. Because this game now is lost, but look at mid. Like, the only reason Fnatic was holding on so much was because top side was pretty stable. And it's hard for EDG to overforce bot because they're playing a Yuumi lane, right? So, I mean, Razork here is also hero of the day. The fact that Razork gets this Herald and gets out is absolutely mind-blowing. Look at Viper. He could have just rotated way earlier after midwave. And Hilly gets out. I can't believe he gets this Herald. It's Razork is not serious. Upset actually catches up a lot here because they share XP mid. So this slowed the game down a lot. I think Gragas actually underrated into these kind of front-to-back comps because Gragas can split the fight quite easy. Yeah, the EDG's game slowed down a lot. Even though Sivir has 3 kills, they couldn't accelerate it because Razork stole Herald, so it stopped their push. Hilly just grieves it here. I don't know what Hilly's doing. Like, he's trying to clear the pink when he sees them 3-man bot. I guess he gets Lee Sin flash, which is good, but... Oh, like, Humanoid plays... When he gets 2 items on his ear, 3 items, he plays with so much confidence. It's really... Like, he Ws, hits creeps, then he E's, and then as he lands on the soldier, he Qs it forwards. They get Herald because the EDG is focusing on bot tier 1. They overstay top, so they lose mid tier 1. But they get top tier 1, so it's 2-for-1 tower trade, but they actually managed to get Herald too, so like the trading of towers, the trading of objectives is actually not bad for Fnatic considering the game state. Fnatic just need to avoid Sivir at all costs. This was a really good engage by Wunder. I think Scout should have flashed the Ornn knockup initially, but he doesn't. I think the ult from Upset, like... Does he ult Hilly as he's in the bailout? Yeah. I think it's Liandry's that's about to tick on him to kill him. So Hilly just comes out instantly and needs the kill, but yeah, they get it a bit too late. Then they're 4v3. I mean, this fight was just bonkers. Wunder's turn was a nice try. Wunder's turn was really nice try because he Qs earlier, and then Viper like missteps, and Wunder actually gets the knock up onto him. Then he gets a W, but then he gets rooted, so he can't get the cheek clap, you know what I'm saying? So he Qs again, Wunder dies. JJ flashes on top of them to Gore Drinker. He dies. No, he doesn't die. Razork dies. And then it's Upset and Humanoid in a 2 versus 3. So Humanoid flashes on top of 3 people over the Lee Sin queue and ults them all. The ult with the Rend kills the Lee Sin and the Sivir, because I guess Upset had stacks in both of them. Yeah, he's hitting Lee Sin. I think he QEs or something, I don't know. He just basically kills them both. And then Humanoid lives. That's crazy that Humanoid actually flashes forwards here. Like, what the fuck? I don't think Viper flashed because I don't think he expected an Azir on 5% health to just flash ult him. Very hard to react to. It's crazy that they won that fight. I'm still shocked that they won that fight. So, this is one of those things where, like, you just won the craziest fight and you clutch it out of your mind. But then you need to, like, it's a really weird emotional level because you're like, holy fuck, we just won the fight. But also you need to, like, chill out because you're still behind. This only, like, helps you a little bit. Well, a lot, actually. Because Upset just got 2 massive shutdowns and he's back in the game. But this only puts you, like, not even. You're still a bit behind. But you have a really good chance now. So Fnatic then leave the base to fight the dragon again. So I wonder if, when I go back here, I wonder if they could have done Drake here. Actually, they couldn't scout STP, so no, they can't do Drake after the fight. They have to back. Backing is a correct call. But then they try to contest the Drake for round 2, you know? They could have, actually, no, I mean, what else could they do on the map right now? They could catch top, but Humanoid's basing right now. I guess he TP's top. Or does he TP mid? He TP's mid. So Humanoid could TP top here, and they could drop Drake. But I guess, because they have no flashes, Fnatic's confident to fight 5v5. But Hilly's already low. They don't really have any vision. Maybe it was better for Fnatic to just drop Drake here. And Razor can go take their top camps and top crab and all that shit. It's only first Drake, right? But, I mean, it is nice to start stacking. It's just, how do you team fight this? And top wave is so big. Oh, okay, so they do drop it. They do drop it. Okay, never mind. I actually thought they contested this. I don't know why. Just surprised by Humanoid's TP then, because he TP'd mid. I guess TPing top would just be more efficient, but it doesn't matter. He lost a few creeps, whatever. Razork didn't get the top grab either, which kind of stings. So, they're only down 1k now, and upsets 2 items, so he's actually kind of matching the Sivir. And he's up in levels, because Hilly's down a level, because he's roaming, whereas Mako is just sitting on top of Viper all game, so they're sharing XP, so... Upset's in a pretty good spot. The problem is like... Kalista teamfighting against Victor is quite difficult because of the ult, but it's also really difficult to play against Lee Sin Gragas. These two champs can be really mobile and getting on top of Kalista and like interrupting her. Like the ult from Gragas, the E flash, whatever it may be, even the Q slow is annoying. The kick is always a threat. Okay, I think Humanoid gets a bit baited here, and I can kind of understand why Humanoid does this. Because the Yuumi looks like a free kill. Like this Yuumi, it looks really free. I get it. I get it. But it just fucks his position so hard. Like this Yuumi, oh my god, if he can dash over here and that knock-up hits, that Yuumi's dead. And if Yuumi dies, then the fight's won, right? The problem is, what can I get for it? Could they force Nash, you think? Would be hard, no? But the fight looks good. But she just gets onto fucking Gragas. And now Humanoid's here, exhausted, with no flash, no dash. Can't go to the right because he gets E-flashed on. Can't go to the left. And I think here he thinks that Gragas is about to E on him. So he just ults. He's so stuck, man. Yuumi gets 600 gold shutdown. And then this kick, like Upset, it flashed away to stop the kick flash. But then he auto-attack moved into Lee Sin. And then JJ just kick flashes. And then both carries are dead. Another shutdown to Yuumi. And then they get Nash, so... This is another explosion of gold. It's actually impressive how Fnatic, even though they made this mid-fight mistake, they actually hold on for so long still. I mean, the Azir is such a strong champ for EU, man. For Fnatic especially, like... this champ does so much work. So they lose their bot tier 2. I think they lose their bot tier 3 here as well. So Fnatic value getting mid-push here, because what they're doing here... What Fnatic's basically doing is they're I guess their comms or whatever it may be is like... They're going to play on 2 lanes, right? With Gragas, they're going to play 4-1. And what will happen is they'll take this tower as 4, then they'll move mid onto Gragas' wave, then they'll take their mid tier 2, then they'll base, push out top and try to play for top tier 2. Because 24 minutes in, it's really hard to crack open the base if they just match you, right? So they get a bit, not greedy in a sense, but they force mid really hard so that they can get this wave. So then they'll base and catch on tier 3, and then they have nothing to rotate into when they defend the bot tier 3, right? That's like the idea that they had, I think. But it takes them a little bit too long. I think that I think it takes them just a little bit too long. Because now they recall, and the problem they have is because they pushed Gragas back so far, Gragas knows they want the base, and Gragas can fuck with them, right? So Humanoid's base gets cancelled, bot tier 3 dies because they're not in time. And then they lose the inhib. Losing the inhib is not that bad though. Bot inhib is the hardest to lose on red side because it's the furthest away from Nash, but Humanoid has TP, so as long as Humanoid doesn't waste his TP or Wunder, they can always wave clear. And then I think the idea then from Fnatic was they're gonna go Drake after tier 3 bot so we can get a top tier 2, and that's a little bit of gold for our Ornn. So what Humanoid does is he just fast pushes mid and then hovers top side in case Flandre tries to defend. So while EDG is doing Drake, Scout should have based and ran top to cover their top tier 2, and Viper should have caught mid wave. So then he could be behind Flandre right now maybe to defend this, but it is what it is. These are like minute things. They get a top tier 2. They lose basically 2 tower spot and they get a top tier 2. So in a tower trade they went 1 for 2 and lost Drake and an inhib. And the inhib's not going to hurt that much because they can clear it really easily with Azir. So I think the state is actually fine for Fnatic even though they're 5k down because there's no objective for like 3 minutes. And this Humanoid will just farm bot waves on cooldown. I think they end up losing this mid tier 2 as well. Because they have 20 seconds left of Nash. But losing tier 2s is very normal when the enemy team has Baron this early on. They'll always get your tier 2s. I think Fnatic did pretty well actually. They did pretty well to hold on. Because waves work right in time, and if you can hold as many waves as possible, you can buy as much time as possible, right? And EDG don't have Nash, so they have... EDG's next objective is Baron, but it's 2 minutes away. But because they're ahead, they can play for top tier 2. So that's why Fnatic is just putting all resources top, leaving Humanoid bot to farm this wave. And then he can TP in worst case if they try to overforce. So what EDG will do is they'll do a very similar thing to what they did bot, where they'll have Flandre mid and they'll go 4-1 again and try to hit this, but they don't have Baron. The problem is Humanoid is the main wave clear, so what he does is he juggles bot waves and runs all the way to top, and he has to keep going in between these 2 lanes to clear out waves. So now he clears out bot, and now he has like 30 seconds to help clear top before he has to go back bot. Helps clear top. Now he has to go back bot. So he's going to base, run bot, push out bot wave, and then there's going to be another top wave, and he has to like juggle it really quick, because their only play for EDG is this top tier 2. An upset's job is to juggle mid and top, but it's a lot shorter distance, right? So here comes the overcommit, try to get this tower. Humanoid's dealing with bot wave, he's trying to push it, but I think they can hold if they use some ults like that, without Humanoid. The bot inhib was really bad, stop saying everything's fine. What are you talking about? It's actually fine, because EDG haven't farmed... Dude, this fucking chatter, I'm fucking mad now. Let's have a look at how much bot waves EDG have farmed since they lost this inhib. Let's check how many people went bot on these bot waves. So they got it at 24 minutes. Okay, no one went bot from EDG. No, they lost that wave. They lost another 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 wave. And they lost another wave. Are they going to lose that one? No, the inhib's back. So, for 5 minutes, they lost about 9 waves. You do the math of how much gold that is, and you can check mid lane CS, and then tell me it's not fine. Azir can juggle top and bot quite easily. And that's why Fnatic still have a chance, because the game is not doomed. They didn't break their base open to the point where they can't walk out of their base. It's pressure. I mean, it would be pressure if Fnatic didn't have as good wave clear as they do, it would be pressure, yes. But they do have enough wave clear. And EDG don't have enough dive. So in most cases, that bot inhib would be actually pretty useful. Because EDG could force top tier 2. They could threaten objectives. But the timer at which they get this inhib is just kind of unlucky for EDG. Well, not unlucky, but... The thing is, what do they play for, you know? They got this inhib, now what? Drake, they just got Drake, they're on their second Drake. There's no soul point threat, there's no Baron for 3 minutes. The duration of this inhib is just spent of EDG trying to get a top tier 2. It's... If there was more on the map to play for, then maybe they could do more damage with it, but they can't really force a dive, and Azir is always juggling these waves to cover, so... it's not often you see cases like this, but because Fnatic have such good wave clear, because there's so little objectives, because EDG have such bad dive, then, yeah, it turns out to be okay, to be honest. There's not much EDG can do more. You should always take that inhib, right? In most cases, yeah, I think you should always take that inhib. But it's actually not as effective as maybe EDG would want it to be. So what Humanoid does here is really good. I'm surprised. So what he does is he puts a soldier down. You'll see it in a sec. He puts a soldier down here. You see that soldier right there in mid? And when Viper steps up, he E's his own soldier. And then Q's after he lands to it. Places another one mid-Q animation. And then hits him twice. And that's... Look at that damage. That's how you outrange a Sivir. That's how you contest mid-waves. But the problem is, how do you follow up? Because I think Sivir still has Spell Shield. And she has a lot of move speed. Does she Spell Shield here? No, she doesn't. So she has Spell Shield. So Wunder's ult. Who does Wunder ult? This is the problem. Does he ult Sivir, who's going to Spell Shield? No. Does he ult JJ, who probably has a ward jump? Or I don't know, maybe he can... I don't know, he'll probably escape it. Actually, maybe he does just ult JJ, you know? Yeah, he has W up JJ. He needs to ult Scout. But I think he just misses Scout because... If you look at the way that Scout runs, it's hard to blame Wunder for like this ult. Because Victor is running here. So all his vision is like Victor is like in this general direction. So he ults on my mouse. But Scout then sidesteps down. Because he has Sivir ult. So he has a lot of move speed. So if you look at it in real time, it just looks like a miss. But you can see why he ults there. I think the best thing for him to do is probably ulting Lee Sin, to be honest. Because he already got slowed. And in the chance that Lee Sin doesn't ward jump. Or does get hit, then he's dead. And you get Nash. Wunder saves his ult here. Fnatic get this massive chunk. And right now, imagine Ornald's not being used. Or Kalista ult. They all just go to Nash right now. Everyone goes to Nash. Do you think it's better for Fnatic? It's hard to say in these kind of replays. But I personally think... Here, even if they waste these ults... Fnatic should just go Nash. And they should not chase into EDG's vision to try to poke their way into Dragon 5v5. I think Fnatic should just run up and start Nash. I think that would disrupt them a bit more. They have Kalista Azir, right? And Poppy as ult. They can pretty much secure an objective. And I think they could just go for Nash. Because Viper's only healing is Yuumi, and I mean, the thing is, you can give them soul point, it's not a big deal, because if Fnatic get this Nash, they're gonna get so much gold. Bot tier 1's up, mid tier 2, bot tier 2, like, they'll get a lot for this. But in the moment, I can see why they want to just chase them down, because Viper's so low, and they probably think that it's a free Drake. I just think that maybe they could try a Nash here, to be honest. I think Nash, like, they're chasing them into their own vision. They could just run, they could have been already in top rush starting Nash, and Viper would be trying to get healings on these fucking honey fruits, pushing mid-wave, and then JJ would try to steal, but I think the chance of you getting back into the game is a lot higher if they just force Nash here, rather than denying a soul point. If this was EDG soul, then yeah, I think they have to fight this, right, of course. But Nash is a bit high risk, high reward. And I think here, they could probably get out if they'd all just run up. If Razork just ran up here, maybe he can live. He has flash as well. But he like sidesteps a bit around, then he W's, thinking he needs to dodge the Yuumi ult, then he like thinks he wants to E Scout into the wall, but then Scout flashes. I don't know what Razork's spell situation is, because he just E'd Gragas. I don't know what his cooldown on his E is. It's probably like 3, 2, 1, because otherwise he would have instantly flash E'd Scout. I know he would. Like, he would for sure flash E'd Scout. But he E's Gragas, so he doesn't have the cooldown to do it. Yeah, tough one. Then Razork dies, and the carries get split because of Victor ult. Oh, unlucky.
Pog 2.
Good TP by Humanoid. He knows that Nash is dead, so he TP's bot to try and get this bot tier 1. It's something, right? This is the way League works. When you know the enemy team has a play that is uncounterable, you have to get something. You have to cut the losses as best as possible. Camps, waves, a tower when they're on Nash. It sucks. Even here, I think Upset could go for mid tier 2. Maybe, I don't know if he has the information to go for mid tier 2, but he sees Victor top, and then when Nash dies, he sees... He doesn't see... No, he doesn't see them all on it. He doesn't have any blue orbs, but maybe he could have gone for mid tier 2, a bit risky, but could be something else that they get. Maybe it dies to creeps anyway, whatever. Red buff's also really big to deny it from Kalista. Yeah, they get the tower anyway from creeps, so yeah, he did the right thing. Quite unlucky. I think Fnatic could play for the Drake and then just get out here, but yeah, it's a really tense moment of like, oh, Victor looks free kill, yes, E in 1 second. So despite Fnatic losing 2 Barons, they still hold on pretty well. I think this Baron was, maybe I'm wrong, but I think this Baron EDG don't actually get that much, because they're doing the same setup here. This is the exact same setup from the first Nash. Bot tier 2 was up, bot tier 3 was up, they played 4-1 with Flandre mid, and Fnatic barreled down and lost here. But this time around, Fnatic were just defending top tier 2 with their life, and then they could have Wunder just kind of matched mid, which is like their easy match for 4-1. Eventually, you have to give up top tier 2 because it takes too long to defend it. So eventually, they give it up. Defending tier 2s becomes really hard when they have Nash, if they play the map right. Because you just... The thing is, like, I can explain it to you a little bit, why it's not worth it. So let's say you're having 4 people up here to defend this, and you have Wunder here to defend, and Wunder has to keep shadowing because they're hitting your tower on cooldown. Eventually, you bleed so many waves on mid and bot that holding this tier 2 eventually becomes not worth it. And it's better to just cut the losses, give up the tower, and then make it so you can catch creeps on all these lanes. And you can farm up a bit. Otherwise, you just lose so much farm running around, trying to stop dives with Wunder, because he's so slow matching the Gragas. And even then, if you overcommit too hard top, then you lose your mid tier 3. So giving up a side lane tier 2 is more worth than just giving up your mid tier 3, because then what will happen is they'll just go 5 mid, and you have 2 open inhibs, and then you lose 2 inhibs, right? So it's about like cutting losses from losing farm, and also valuing the tier 3 mid more than the tier 2 top, right? It's just like, eventually, it's just unplayable. You just have to just say, fuck it, just give top tier 2 and defend the tier 3. Because the tier 3 is much easier to defend, right? Just the way the terrain works. Like, running from here to here is much shorter than running from here to here, right? So I think EDG only get top tier 2. Yeah, I'm wrong. They have 50 seconds left. Oh yeah, they get the pick. Yeah, Fnatic get this pick. They probably would have lost at another tier 3 with the way EDG was set up, but this pick stops everything. So Fnatic hold again on another Baron. I think the reason they're holding so much is the Azir. Like, the Azir is doing... I don't know, this champ can either poke out someone really hard or just basically clear the waves. So Drake spawning in 50. This is one of those things where Fnatic could give it up and play for creeps on sides. Mostly top. Or they could try to contest it. Contesting it's really complicated though, but look at Azir items. He just picked up Void Staff, so... Fuck me, this Azir is strong. They could also wait for BT on Kalista, you know, wait for the next fight. But it's... The thing is, the way pro play works, for some of you out there, is... Yes, they could push top, but what they will do in most cases is they'll do something called fishing, right? Where they will contest the mid wave. And if EDG make a mistake, they'll jump on them. If EDG don't make a mistake, sure, they'll probably get this Drake for free. But it doesn't hurt to at least try to, like, look for something, you know? If Gragas, like, makes a mistake, we can maybe just E on him and kill him before his team can help. Something like this. Maybe Viper oversteps. Maybe Scout gets caught out. They may as well at least be in the vicinity, you know? What's the point of just giving up this mid wave for free? They shouldn't give EDG the whole map, you know? They should at least try to threaten that they're going to contest this to slow them down. Then obviously Gragas gets a really good ult. Viper spell shields the knock. And Humanoid does work in this fight. Wunder's ult's good. 3-man knock-up. Flandre just lives on his flash. But look what Humanoid does in this fight. 1 versus 2 against the mid-jungle. Knocks them both. Kills Scout. Flashes out of the storm. Kills JJ too. So at that point, when I was watching the game, I was like, wait a second. Humanoid just won them the whole fucking fight. Are you kidding? Like, this guy just dashed into their mid-jungle and solo killed them both. But, yeah. Upset flashes forwards with bailout, thinking he can get a kill. Where did Hilly's ult go?
Pog, let's go, man.
Hilly's ult was not great.
Groups. Book it now, Pog.
So, at this point, Fnatic could maybe back when JJ dies, but Upset says, you know what, like, this fight is completely won. But Mako still has exhaust. Maybe if Mako didn't have exhaust, Upset could get more done here if he chases Gragas. But, I mean, Humanoid will die in the end to the fucking Chaos Storm. They're 3v3. It's like everything's on Upset. Everything's on him. But, yeah, he lost vision of Viper. Viper still has flash. He can cleanse the exhaust, but now he just gets knocked. And it's tough. GG. Look at the damage. 8k from Humanoid. Humanoid is playing so fucking good. It's unreal how good Humanoid's playing.